Hey, what's up? Welcome everyone to the 3 or 4 people that are currently watching. We got Fatty, we got Prepper Chick in Texas, aka the beloved matriarch figure of the Thrift Fam community, Judy Bell, Google, JBG, and we got Warfist 1984. And there was somebody else I saw a second ago, or maybe I didn't. I think I've covered everybody that is tuning in. Welcome to a very long and overdue episode of TSP TV that actually features me. But anyway, Warfist, some great comments that you brought up in the intro there. And as I said, I do put the little bit of an intro. It's 4 minutes and 20 seconds long, 4:20 all. Gives you a little time to have a puff, maybe have a Jimmy Riddle, which is Cockney rhyming slang for a piddle, which is taking a piss. Jimmy Riddle there, a little bit of learning Cockney rhyming slang for you. But it gives a chance for you guys to get into place, get comfy, say hello to each other, and then we can crack on with the content. But don't be too excited or get carried away. We don't got much planned for you. This has been quite an effort and a labor, and I've actually been fighting with myself for the last 4 hours to actually press go live and do this. It's been a bit of a battle for me, as a lot of people are struggling through the COVIDian era, and 2020 is kicking a lot of people's asses physically, emotionally, and financially. But as I was saying, the comments, the intros, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up or some kind of sign of life that you can hear me. I'm using the microphone here. Some of us do know we have some audio issues recently in the videos. Oh my goodness, Warfist. I've watched Raised with Wolves. What a disturbing show. The Necromancer, her flying, that gave me nightmares, bro. And as you guys know, what was I talking about? The intro. So anyway, the intro, you know what that's all about. Get you into place. Hopefully, you know, you get comfortable. But you did raise some good points about the stream that we did earlier, which did get shut down once again. I have had a little bit of issues with copyright strikes and stuff. Some of you may recall a little while ago we had the Nostalgia Night together in Electric Dreams, which I put together a little bit of a composite of stuff that I found from 1985. And I've been working on something called the Director's Cut, together in Electric Dreams, the Director's Cut. And it was initially 4 hours and 20 minutes long, again, 420 y'all. I do like my numerology, just as the elites do, in which I kind of did find a lot of purposely VHS archived stuff because of the whistle and the Dolby system, which is weaponized in I did do a little bit of a live stream earlier to try and premiere the Director's Cut of Together in Electric Dreams, and it's sort of entirely so people could watch along with it. And those that were watching, Nancy, welcome, sweetheart, glad to see you. #Shah, she was watching along, and not only was the nostalgia enjoyable, but there was an awful lot of stark reality hidden away within that. And are they telling us exactly what they are doing to us in hiding it away and all these things? And as Warhammer pointed out, they kind of said how they use it for entertainment purposes right after they've told us the weaponized purpose of it. And back in 1985 they were talking about militarized smart technology, which we now carry around in our pockets, and we do in fact hold the devices of our demise close to our heart, quite literally. Some ladies put their phone in the book. But as you guys know, when I'm not thrifty prepping, I do have a little bit of an eye for the goings on of the elites and how they hide away their truths within fiction and entertainment. So it is good to see you all guys. It has been a long time. As I was saying prior to this, that 2020 is kicking everybody's asses, and is it kicking our asses in ways that we don't really know, and in ways that we're being told that maybe it is affecting our lives? COVID-19, the pandemic that's got us on lockdown yet again, wave 2, lo and behold, is here among us, as sort of foreseen and forecast and even predicted way back in the summer. We were all getting ready for the sorry, we've got a Facebook viewer, so we are multi-streaming again. Sorry, I'm a little bit discombobulated. I have been out of practice of doing live shows. I have been in a little bit of a self-isolated funk, sort of nursing my wounds and the depressions and the loss of my father, the seasonal depression, the fact that, I've lost an awful lot this year as a result of the COVIDian pandemic, as many people do. So Dave, I got TrueFlix watching on Facebook. Always a pleasure to have you, one of our longest and maybe loyalist, I don't know if that's the correct word, but one of our oldest sort of companions here at the thrift store, and one of our fellow YouTubers that sort of popped on the scene around the same time as the thrift store exploded, courtesy of our buddy over there at Mark Fugels. So the last few weeks and probably the month since sort of summer and the warmer days ended, I've put myself a little bit in sort of damage control, self-isolation. I don't really like the world outside. I don't really like the world on my social media. I don't really like the world on YouTube right now, and everything I've sort of been trying to do in recent weeks with regards to YouTube has sort of kind of kicked me in the ass and sort of knocked me down. And this is one of the few good things that I do kind of have in life, and one of the few things that is yet to be taken away from me in 2020. I lost my job. Not only did I lose my job, I lost the sort of social side of what going to work in a bar meant. I met, I missed out on hanging out with the girls at work. I miss meeting some of my regular customers who I still have enjoyable conversations with. I miss going to the Dollarama and the No Frills and getting my little pantry top-up bags to share with you. All that has been taken away, and I'm not the only one. I'm not here feeling sorry for myself, but I have been licking my wounds. I have not really felt like facing the world outside of my bed, and now that the weather's shitty, grey, gloomy and wet, and some of you all down there south of the border, particularly in Texas, you've had some snow and ice. That's a little bit bizarre. And just the other day here in Toronto, we had a heat wave. It was like 23 degrees in October, unseasonably warm summer-like day, and for one day only summer returned. The neighborhood come back to life. People were on the streets. The yummy mummies were out in their yoga pants with their dogs in their strollers. Let me show that there. Yeah, he hates me. He hates me too, Fatty McBunch. Fatty, sorry about that, Fatty. I've had the mafia come after me quite hard in the past, but as I said, no ill feelings. I covered Electric Dreams almost among everyone. That's coming from TrueFlix over on Facebook there. Electric Dreams back in 1985, and was the answer to 1984, 1985. A lot of movies come out in that time and kind of told us about things that seemed very, very sort of science fiction and out of this realm, and now we kind of do carry around technology much more advanced than that we saw within in those movies. And I've always said, fiction prepares us for our reality, and we are kind of now living in a dawn of Electric Dreams. And there was a hell of a lot of movies that come out in and around 1985 that had a very similar theme, and I do believe that I've down a rabbit hole that maybe some of these movies are in fact a coded message, and if you kind of put them all together, there may be some hidden clues. Kill All Others, that was the Truther video. And truthfully, he's a guy that does sort of, I'm not saying he finishes my sentences, but we do have a similar mindset. Yes, I have. That's the Electric Dreams TV series. I'm talking about the Electric Dreams movies back in the 1985. I think possibly the TV series is a little bit like Black Mirror, and there's that one episode in particular where they refer to truthers as others, and how people are then turned within this fiction, Electric Dreams, a series that people that aren't truthers are kind of programmed by electromagnetic frequencies and maybe MK Ultra virtual realities to go out and hurt the others and in fact kill the others. That was a very, very disturbed one. No worries, put all the typos you want. None of us are perfect. None of us are angels here at the thrift store. Come one, come all, come as you are. And that's a little bit disturbing because recently at the lockdown protest here in Toronto, there's a dude that was giving out pin badges, and he kind of made, this is the symbol of the truthers. If you see somebody with the pin, make the truth. This is what I'm talking about, Trueflix. Is this what they're doing? And, you know, in communist takeovers in China, when they sort of spread their communist net, as well as Russia, before, you know, it was a 20-year process. It didn't sort of come in and overnight. They were, you know, we went to bed and you were in a democracy, and you woke up the next morning, communism was there. It was a 20-year process, and during that 20-year process, they put what was known as red squads in China. And the red squads were people that were working for the government, but controlled opposition, and basically what they did is rallied up the dissidents, anybody that would go against the grain once communism took over. These dissidents then would be well known and publicized, and then be rounded up and made disappear. And especially if you give them a little badge or a marker like the Nazis did in World War II to the Jewish people, they made them wear a star on their clothes. And, you know, are we being led to the slaughter? And divide and conquer propagandas on both sides of the fence works in both ways. So sorry, as I said, this is a little bit of a discombobulated episode. I'm trying to sort of work with what I'm reading on the comments there, but as I'm saying, guys, I've not really felt like doing very much at all recently, and I know that there's a couple of you out there also, like myself, who are finding it hard to get out of bed and without any routine or anything to do or any sort of real purpose in the day. It seems pointless to do so, but we do have to get out of bed. We do have to sort of keep on keeping on to the best of our degree. But a little bit for me in damage control is I shut myself away, and I have been watching an awful lot of kind of movies and TV shows recently, a lot of weird and wonderful stuff contained in that. And one of the programs which War Machine was chatting about was Raised by Wolves. What a bizarre show that is, with artificial intelligence giving birth to frozen human embryos and then raising them on a planet far, far away. So sorry, let me go back and look at a couple of your comments here. Yeah, Marfugal hates me, and that was the last one I read from Fadi there. I'm the only corner ever that they didn't love mob. Well, yeah, you know, they kind of love mobbed me a little bit in the early days, and sort of, I think that's what they do. They kind of love mob you into the sort of the crew or the cult of Marfugal, and if you don't go along with the grain, then they oust you. And again, you know, when you've got somebody that was once the CEO of a data collection agency answering your phone calls, it's very easy, I guess, to sort of manipulate the masses against those that go against it. But anyway, as I said, guys, this was really a little bit of, let's just let you know that I'm still alive. I'm not dead. I'm not hanging from a rope. The coronavirus hasn't taken me as its victim, and I haven't been dragged off to some quarantine camp. I am still alive, barely functioning. I don't know if you can see, like, I look like death warmed up, and I feel as though I've aged about 10 years in the last few months. Sorry, there's something there about cults are bad. I can't quite see out the corner of my eye coming in for Facebook, but it is a little bit of, as I said, just a little bit of getting back, touching base, kind of talking to you, maybe giving you guys a chance to sort of communicate that you may not have had a chance to because I haven't been live lately. If or not you've missed TSP live in these couple of weeks that we haven't been up and running or not, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of other stuff to entertain you. Hey, Share Bear, kind of what I'm saying, not exactly very good, sort of putting on a brave face and a little bit of a front to do this live feed tonight, so it's nice to see a few familiar faces there. and as I said, there's no real kind of direction or purpose in this, and forgive me if I'm not looking at the camera, I just don't like looking at myself at the moment, and don't even like being around my own company at the minute. So I kind of, when I don't like being around myself, it's very hard to sort of be around other people. So please forgive the fact that I haven't been around lately. It's not because of anything that maybe you may think. I don't know, it's just been hard to get on with life at the minute. And TrueFlix is here in the YouTube crew. That's good, because although I do sort of try to simultaneously stream on Twitch, Facebook and YouTube at the same time, YouTube is the sort of main place where the fam gets together and hangs out. So it is nice to see that we have got 14 people watching. That is wonderful, because sort of in recent weeks getting 10 or recent months getting 10 people to tune in has been a little bit difficult, but maybe the later hour helps. I do know we've got a lot of time zones and stuff to take into consideration, so trying to sort of get the perfect time that everyone can be in place is kind of difficult. But it is nice to see everyone, and you know, we talk a little bit about that kind of support group mentality that we do have here at the Thrift Fam, where we kind of do try and sort of lift each other up and be there for each other when we ain't got no one. That's kind of what I'm trying to call on a little bit now. And as I said, we're not probably going to be going on for very long, although that being said, who knows, sometimes the shows about nothing turn into be some of the best stuff. But it is good to see you guys, and to be honest with you, I don't think I've actually spoken this much to anybody or anything in a few weeks. I think I've actually gone days without speaking to anyone like this, you know, maybe text messages and things like that. And it's kind of funny, when you do drop off the grid and you go out of sight, you do become out of mind a little bit. And I got excited today because I had a message on my phone. I had a text message, not like a message on Facebook or anything like that. And I was like, oh my God, somebody's texting me. And it was just a reminder that I need to put some money on my account in order to keep my service running after the 28th. So I got a couple of days hopefully to try and do that. No, unfortunately, as a result of I mean, I do got a second phone through Flix. We could possibly put something together with Messenger or Discord or something. We should touch base or something, maybe give me a text or something, and we'll work something out, because it's been a long time. But I don't have the thrift phone anymore. You know, not having an income for the last, nearly 8 months we've been, since March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So yeah, 7 months, nearly 8 months come November, if we make it past November the 2nd, without a job. But that is why I prepped, and those of you that come around at the beginning and sort of were here before I kind of went a little bit truth orientated, or started bringing truth or fiction decoded type content to the channel. Yeah, maybe we can try that. TrueFlix. Give me a second though, because I can possibly on this phone get you up on Messenger and we can get you there. But Laurie, welcome, sweetheart. The kids are asleep. And as I said, I really don't got anything planned. My mind recently has not exactly been its own, and something I've been chatting a little bit off camera and privately with Tafati is the electromagnetic frequencies and the EMF waves. And this is kind of a little bit of what I was putting into the 1985 decoded Electric Dreams, Together in Electric Dreams video, was the fact that back in the 1980s, this was when I just got your text, but we can possibly do something on Messenger in a little while. But back in the 1980s was the dawn of the digital era. This was when we started seeing Walkmans, we started getting compact discs, we started having VHS, game consoles, all this stuff we started bringing onto our home. The dawn of the computer era. Up until that point, computers were massive, great things. It went in rooms and scientists with bits of paper that sort of sparked out of them, and dials and lights and stuff. Or at least that's what we were led to believe on TV shows. But all of a sudden in the 1980s, they become very, very small and become very, very minute. And I'm not sure if or not War Machine's still around, but during that presentation that I did do in 1985, there was a satellite infomercial for a satellite station where they talk about how they, install these satellites into your house, and how they tell you just think about it as a TV aerial, when it's not. It's actually a weapon. It's a receiver for these electromagnetic frequencies and things that we had that were part of the Sony Walkman. Was the Dolby Digital sound system, and it was supposed to remove background noise. But if you ever listened to a Walkman back there was always and this was the frequency that kind of put us into a little bit of a dizzy state. And the dawn of MTV, 24 hours a day music videos, and a lot of those music videos were kind of, you get sucked in. I used to remember myself, and I'm sure some of you did, after midnight you'd click onto MTV, and before you know it, it'd be 6 o'clock in the morning, just be stood there in something that become a phrase back in the 1980s was a couch potato. And a couch potato was somebody that sat on the couch and sat there flicking through the channels. And back then, channel surfing was the equivalent of our swiping through the phone, and a little bit like the kind of casino effect that when you pulled waiting for the reels to come and give you a winner. That was what we were doing. We were flicking through the channels, waiting for something to kick in of particular interest, be it a little bit of gratuitous nudity that was often put on late night TV, or maybe it was a music video that we liked, or perhaps, our favorite TV show. We'd sit endlessly waiting for something. And the couch potato became a thing. And those kind of Gen Xers that were possibly my age, we spent a lot of time smoking weed, maybe drinking cheap liquor, channel surfing. We were under bombardment of subliminal messages, and how an awful lot of those TV shows of the era, even like the innocent cartoons designed for kids, were all very rainbowy and unicorny, and a lot of the characters that they used for those popular kind of franchises and toy lines and brands and stuff like that, they're all kind of monarch programming triggers, and sort of in the mid 90s there was a big explosion of, the gay movement become very, very, very large. This is kind of where the Love Parade and Pride and all this kind of stuff started to grow momentum. And is this because it was a result of people that were maybe prepubescent during the 1980s, that watched the Care Bears, that watched Rainbow Bright and all these other little wuzzly twin dual personality type cartoony shows that grew up to be, that way inclined? I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it is a possibility and a probability. Couch potato, something they bake with microwaves. Warfist, brilliant, exactly. And the other thing, remember the science project, when you were at home, you put the potato in, there was a battery, you could put the thing in the it become the conductor, right? I'm sure you guys can remember that from then. We had to reel in the 8-track. But as I say, guys, up until that kind of era, we still lived in the analog wavelengths, radio waves and stuff like that. But in the 80s, it all went digital, and this was what was the first generation, or 1G as it kind of could be known. And that was not reference to the technology. That was the generation of people that first grew up within that digital era. Trust the plan, trust the government again. Q, I've seen they've taken an awful lot of the QAnon stuff down. It's all being banned and stuff. And QAnon, whatever your beliefs or thoughts of that on, that is entirely up to you. I'm not to say it's right, it's not to say it's wrong. I haven't got any solid proof, but it certainly does seem to be a little bit controlled opposition to me, maybe. something I've mentioned, the 7 seals, and they're using the 7 seals as a sort of script to work with now, and maybe the QAnon could be the false savior. Trust the plan. But as I said, I don't really have too much thoughts of that, other than the fact that it does seem to be goodness, it's kind of like a, not role playing, but it's kind of like a conspiracy theorist's wet dream, and understanding something that I know that Truthflix is also spoken about and knows about, is the sentient world simulation. Now, the sentient world simulation collects all our data, everything we type in, all our web searches, all our personal tape, text messages, emails, everything that we type in our phone goes eventually to the sentient world simulation. So they can kind of then create perfect desired scenarios that we will react in an exact desired way. And kind of the whole QAnon movement and everything they were at, it is like, oh, they're going to expose 9/11, release children from pedophile rings, all this stuff. Draining the swamp and all these things. It just seemed almost too good to be true. And when something is sometimes too good to be true, there's a good chance it is. But it does seem very much as though it was the creation of an artificial intelligent algorithm that just put all the best ingredients together to create the perfect controlled opposition for people to buy into. But let's go back and see. There you go. Q, prepper chick, used to follow Q and then realized it was a load of crap. And a lot of the videos I saw, not necessarily the documentaries of Q, but people that were kind of QAnoners, if that's a term that you can coin, they're all like kind of guys in a truck, when you see the things that I see, you're not going to believe it. And it's like, okay, well, maybe show us some of the things that you've seen and maybe we might believe it. But it does seem a little bit controlled opposition, and it does also seem to me that there isn't any particular demographic of society that isn't being controlled by some kind of artificial algorithm, and how people are behaving in society, how some people have bought into COVID and are wearing masks, and how some people don't wear masks, and how some people who are, we've got the anti-maskers. The people in the masks aren't our enemies, they're just the same victims as us. They're being played by the same enemy. Understand who your enemy is, then we have a better understanding and chance of fighting back against that enemy. When we're squabbling and fighting against each other, and this is what being excellent is about each other, rather than ridicule and mock people for wearing masks, understand that maybe they're afraid, they don't know what to do, maybe they don't, they're just going along because it makes life easier for them. Everyone has a personal reason, but we are being forced against each other, and I do truly believe that there is electromagnetic mind control very much at play, drawing people, and something that I'm not saying supports or validates what I'm saying, but here in Toronto, Canada, we have an awful lot of Trump supporters, and even recently at the kind of lockdown rally, it's sort of become a Trump anti-lockdown rally. And why do Canadians care if Trump's elected or not? He's not our president. I mean, I'm not even Canadian myself, but I live in Canada. But Americans aren't really that concerned about what President Trudeau's doing. I'm pretty sure there aren't Americans that are going out with placards for Justin Trudeau, re-elect him and stuff like this. I don't understand. And could this be because the electromagnetic frequencies that are being bombarded out to make people like certain things or behave in a certain manner, are they crossing the border because they don't know invisible lines? Electromagnetic frequencies don't need to show a passport or get a visa to enter Canada. They can just float over. And something we also have, or used to have in Toronto until it did change its name, was a Trump Tower. Now, in that 1985 documentary, or the decoding I put together, we looked at a interview with Donald Trump from 1985 talking about the Trump Tower. And the Trump Tower is in fact made out of everything you would need. Ceramics, it's brass, it's copper, it's got its own water cooling system and fountains and stuff inside. It's also got plants that act as the grounding system. It's a Tesla tower. It is a Tesla tower. I'm telling you guys, look into what the Trump Tower is built out of, and then go and look how you would make a Tesla tower. The components are almost identical. In fact, Donald Trump even made a point in that documentary saying that he spared no expenses on getting the exact desired materials to put it up. And also within that documentary, Ivana Trump talks about how there are different feelings within different rooms. Is this because the frequencies in different rooms and the different materials conduct a different level of frequencies? Back in the 80s, we had a lot of this stuff, carpet, it kind of Flotex carpets. And what they did, if you remember, you walked around, static shocks. It was a conductor, people. The electromagnetic frequencies, it's everywhere. It was bombarding us. And this is what the 80s did at that dawn. We brought all this technology into our home under the guise of entertainment. And as Warfist pointed out, a lot of this was weaponized. And within that documentary that you may or may have paid attention to from Discovery Channel, it said, we already have the technology to control the entire population of the United States of America, make it behave in exactly the desired way and manner that they want. And all it takes is a little bit of tweaking of frequencies. What's up, Kali Ninja? You were on Facebook. I don't know if you've come over here. Yes, you did. A recent phone, the Trump Tower. There was also free... could it have been on 9/11? Could the Trump Tower have been pushing out the directed energy, or could it been, I don't know, guys. But we saw the Walkmans, and then we also saw the mind control experiment where they put the diodes on the lady's head, and once they were on the head, her brain then become the conductor. That's just like putting the headphones on the Walkman. Things like synthwave, like hip-hop, all this kind of electronic music that become very, very popular in the 1980s. All frequencies, guys, that was there to affect each other. Great to see you also, Killer. So as I said, guys, I'm just freestyling this show. If there's no direction, if I'm bouncing from one thing to another, I'm very sorry. I feel a little bit like Steve McQueen in Papillon, one of my favorite movies, actually. Papillon, the definitive movie, prison movie, if you want my opinion. Forget the Shawshank. How did he put the poster up once he got through the hole? Doesn't make sense. Falls all apart right there. But anyway, Steve McQueen in Papillon, he got sent to the cooler, as he did in The Great Escape, if you remember, with the baseball. But in Papillon, he got sent to the cooler, and every couple of weeks they had to stick their head out to have their head shaves. And because they hadn't seen or spoken to another soul, that was the only time they saw anybody, was when they stuck their head out to get a haircut. And the inmates either side would ask each other, how do I look? And that's kind of how I feel. Okay, so let's try, we're going to live it. I'm glad I just, sorry, I'm just reading that. All right, TrueFlix, let's see what we can do. As I said, we're going to freestyle this. Who wants to bring, we are going to bring TrueFlix in one way or another. I can call you on Messenger, because I don't got the phone that I use with the credit on, is what I'm using to record, so I can't actually call you on the landline, but possibly we can get you on, I need to switch accounts on this phone, hold on a second, let's do that, and we can possibly get you up on Messenger, and we can get our boy TrueFlix. And I think actually TrueFlix was the first ever YouTuber that was a guest on TSP TV. So there you go. And Trump, Tesla. Do you remember the fucking recently? Oh my God, I have been down a little bit of a rabbit hole in the time that you haven't seen me last. And this 1985 thing is fucking blowing my mind. The DeLorean, it was made out of stainless steel, right? Couple of years ago, maybe even less than that, Elon Musk brought out the Tesla space buggy type vehicle. Very ugly looking thing, if you can remember it. Guess what? It's made out of fucking stainless steel, and it even looks a little bit like a DeLorean, but just kind of more triangular. And it's also solar powered and electric powered, as well as it has a fuel. It's a hybrid. So a little bit like in Back to the Future 3 when the DeLorean went back, but the Red Indians shot the bows and arrows and they split the fuel line, and then gasoline didn't exist back in the 1860s during Back to the Future 3. They had all sorts of problems getting the DeLorean up to 88 miles an hour, if you can remember. But if you've got an electric solar powered time machine, it doesn't matter if you run out of fuel. You can just solar power it, charge it from the rays, and then get yourself up to 88 miles an hour. Let me see if I can get a picture of it up for you, so I can show you exactly how much it looks like a fucking DeLorean. So Tesla was working on time travel. Trump's grandfather owns all of Tesla's technology research, all of his works. The book Baron von Trump's Adventure, where he goes back in time on the eve of the election. Is Nikola Tesla from the future but living back in the 1860s like the Doc? Is time travel possible? Is Donald Trump navigating backwards and through time? Is his fucking tower a time machine like the TARDIS that Doctor Who navigates? All theories that sound very, very outlandish but have some kind of depth, I guess. I lost my train of thought. What am I looking for? Stainless steel Tesla. All right, and this only come out recently, and I remember at the time when I saw it. I mean, look, I don't know if you can see there. It's not too dissimilar to the DeLorean, right? And it's made out of the exact same materials as the DeLorean. Why? And even like the Triangler, I can imagine that would shoot through this I don't know, guys. It is very, 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 as I said, outlandish to kind of consider that this could even be a reality. I know how fucking ridiculous I sound talking about this to you all now. Probably some of you are already tuning out, and I don't blame you if you are. It does sound like the nonsensical ramblings of a stoner that's lived alone in his basement. Baron von Trump's Marvelous Adventures, that's exactly the one I'm talking about. Laurie, ever watch Percy Jackson? No, I haven't. If you've noticed, a lot of the movies of recent, my God, let me see if I can do this for you. Movies at the minute about monsters. Everything seems to be about monsters and babysits. No problem bringing people in. No worry, True Fix. Let me get through this, and we'll talk about something or whatever you want at that point. So let me try and do this for you. Purple. Everywhere I'm seeing purple right now as well. Thank you, Warfist. As long as I'm not crazy on my own, that is the worst thing that I wanted to do. But I'm going to look at movies in 2020, in particular the United States of America. Right, I don't know if you can kind of see there. Within the first, we've got one, Over the Moon, Blue Beams. We've got another one here. This used to be America, or American Selfie, purple. We've got Witches, purple. Broken Hearts, purple. Go down a little bit further. Love in Monsters, purple. You know what? Let's do a search. Monster. Everything's about monsters right now, guys. All the movies are about monsters. So we've got one there. Monsters. Here we are. Some babysitters and monsters. A bunch of kids babysitting on Halloween get invaded by monsters. Monsters and Aliens, an older movie, but again, monsters. Monsters Among Us, another little Netflix recent show. Monsters, all purpley. I could go on and on, but back to movies. Actually, let's go back to the search. Again, see more purple monsters. If you go to monster, see what comes up. What's the deal with monsters? And all of this stuff, again, is very purpley. Purple is everywhere. There's even a movie about Nikola Tesla. Some more purple. Can you see the amount of purple? Go down a bit further. There's a movie about Nikola Tesla, and the cover is purple. More purple. More purple. There you go. More babysitters, and guess what? They're fighting witches and demons. Bill and Ted Face the Music, purple. The Sleepover, purple. And there it is, look. Tesla, purple. Okay, let's get Trueflix on the phone. I'm going to go over and call you now, Trueflix. Sorry, I've been keeping you on hold. Let's roll with it. Why we are. So I'm going to, and again, something else that's gone purple. Messenger on Facebook. Have you seen that? Everything on Facebook is gone purple. So I'm calling Trueflix now, and hopefully we can get some good conversation going. Actually, I need to turn the volume up. That help. Hello, can you hear me? Come in, Trueflix. Trueflix. Sorry, I got a little bit close to the camera then. That was scary. Nobody wants to see that. I don't know if I'm calling or not. I don't want to show your details. Not now. Do you know what? I need to take a quick leak. Okay, wrong. Here we go. Trueflix, welcome. Hang on, let me put you on speaker. That helps. Say hello. Can you hear me? No, let's turn the volume up. Hello. I'm not seeing, but buffering from Fatty. Okay, so technical glitches or difficulties maybe. It says that the call is connected, but I can't hear anything. Can you hear me, Trueflix? Leave a comment on the section below. As I said, this is a very discombobulated, throwing it together, making it up as we go, a little bit like Indiana Jones chasing the last Ark of the Covenant. I'm going to hang up there on Trueflix, but I was going to say give me a couple of seconds because I need to take a Jimmy Riddle, guys. Did have a big cup of coffee beforehand. Let me take off that. Can I hold on. Hello. Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me, guys? Sorry, I'm just doing some stuff there. Egyptians, yeah. Trueflix, can you hear me, buddy? Hello. We're having all sorts of problems. Sorry, guys, as I said, you could hear me, but I can't hear you. My volume's on, the speaker's on. Everything's working this end. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you for love nor money. Is this the algorithm working against us or not? That's a bit of a kick in the balls. Let me hang up because I can't hear anything. Let me try calling you one more time. See if that works. Okay, I'm getting a dialing tone. Hello. Okay, well I was getting a noise, but now I'm getting nothing. And I don't know if Trueflix is trying to talk to me, but the speaker is on, the call connected, but we can't hear him. That is a little bit unfortunate. I don't know why exactly that is. That is a shame. As I said, we're kind of trying to make this work live as we go. There was a bit of a half burp there for Baby P. TrueFlix, maybe we might have to try and work something out when we're not doing it live, and have people watching who may kind of lose a little bit of interest why we are getting through these technical difficulties.
Because they hadn't seen or spoken to another soul.
But anyway, where are we? Have we got a little bit of a delay or something there? That's weird that I couldn't hear you, TrueFlix, so I'm still seeing your comments there, so I'm guessing we are still alive. And Killer's back. Welcome to you. I do, but as I said, kind of at the minute, I don't want to sort of be juggling around with apps, trying to get them to work if they're not going to work. But we can try somehow to, so I'm just trying, let me see if I can open up Discord quickly. That's the one I'm looking for. What, have we got 17 people watching? Is that what we're saying? That's kind of astonishing, because it's been a long time since I've had... Hi Tam Tam, 17 people. Yeah, I've got the Discord is open. But as I said, not that I want to discourage you or anything, because I would love to get another person in talking about this, because Faddy McBuckfunt, I don't know why I can't say that right, is the fact that I've been a little bit out of commission recently. So whoa, that is almost a record viewing audience in recent weeks. So I think we did get up to 17 a few weeks ago, but that's something then people from you and me are watching, but that is good. I'm glad that we have got a lot of people in here. And that's a little bit what's been going on, that my mind has not been sort of able to focus in one sort of direction for any great length of time recently. I've been out and about, not out and about, I've been stuck inside. I haven't been out and about much to sort of gain any sort of, I guess, energy or direction or stimulation, and I've been kind of sort of stuck within my own sort of little bit of funk. But I've been watching a lot of these kind of weird and wonderful TV shows lately, and I was, as I was sort of saying, doing a little bit of research into this electromagnetic frequencies and sort of looking back to the 1980s and coming to the sort of conclusions that there's a very strong possibility since then we have been under some kind of electromagnetic mind control. And certainly within the more recent months of 2020, certainly since the start of the pandemic, I've seen a lot of kind of evidence on social media, and even kind of, you know, in social, the social activities or the rare social ventures outside of my apartment, the behavioral patterns of people, and something we yes, I've seen both versions of Utopia. I did a video on it a little while ago that only 30 something people have watched, TrueFlix. I think I watched it the weekend that it was released. Not only that, I also watched the 2 seasons of the British version that come out in 2013. And the season 2 of the British version of Utopia, very disturbing with regards to the second wave, because the second wave was deadly. But yeah, there's been a lot of interesting stuff coming on. Another one that a little while upload, and I've seen a similar theory, similar theme in a couple other recent shows, where you can kind of upload your thoughts into a computer simulation prior to death. Angela, hey, welcome Angela, glad to see you. Guys, I do have some nutsacks to send out. At the minute, I literally have 10 cents. Actually, no, I don't. I got 60 cents. I found another 50 cents in a jean pocket while I was doing some laundry. But I'm down to 60 cents, 5 cigarettes and half a bag of discarded tobacco. Although I do got quite a lot of weed left, lucky for me. Things are difficult. I will get your nutsacks out to you as soon as I get some more funds in again. But back in the 1980s, as I said, there seemed to be the dawn of digital, the dawn of the digital era. This day and age, I really do believe that we've got some kind of The nut sacks. Yeah, well, you've got to keep a little bit loyal to your roots and where you come from. I'm noticing that we've got quite a delay on YouTube, maybe, or if that's just me. Okay, but let's hope we're not going anywhere. But something also that happened in 1985 that's a little bit concerning. We do have an awful lot of strange weather going on. As I said, Texas is getting ice storms. Oklahoma, they had an ice storm and they're under 21 people. We haven't been over 20. We should sing for Auld Lang Syne. But Oklahoma, they had an ice storm, and that's something that I experienced myself a few years ago back in Toronto. I think it's 2013 now, for sort of 10 days over the Christmas period. It happened, I think, on Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. I can't remember when exactly, but we were hit with an ice storm and then a polar vortex. If you don't know what an ice storm is, it's pretty much when rain falls, it turns to ice upon impact, and it rains sort of not necessarily hard, heavy rain. It was like drizzle for like 17 hours, but the ice built up on power lines and trees and stuff like this, and they started to collapse and creak, and it was a very, very weird kind of eerie sort of. I wish I sort of had a YouTube channel back then to have recorded some of the footage of. It looked beautiful, like a sort of special effects from some kind of Narnia or Lord of the Rings movie, all the ice. It was very, very beautiful, but deadly, deadly, deadly. And Oklahoma just got an ice storm, and I saw a couple of videos of that. It was very, very reminiscent to that of the ice storm here. But in 1985, The Watchmen come out also, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, comic books of all time. And The Watchmen does tell of a Project Bluebeam type hoax alien invasion using electromagnetic frequencies, psionic waves, and special effects created fake alien that was teleported into New York City, and that took place on November the 2nd. And this November the 2nd is the night before the general election in the United States, and we are also due a very near Earth object in the form of an asteroid coming our way on the 2nd of November. Now, is all this crazy weather and snow in Texas, heat waves in Toronto, ice in Oklahoma, is this a result of some kind of weather modification, or maybe some kind of strange incoming object that is pulling the Earth out of our gravitational pull, perhaps? Something also mentioned in Back to the Future 2 was the gravitational pull in the future in 2015, as well as the mention of weather modification. So with regards to Trump maybe holding time travel and Tesla-like technology, and the fact that maybe the Trump Tower in New York City is a giant conductor and a giant Tesla tower, could we be seeing a very similar staged event this November the 2nd during the lead up to the election? And part of the Watchmen's background also, that it was a time of Cold War. Now, although we're not in a sort of Cold War against the commies like we were back in the 1980s and the threat of nuclear missiles, we're kind of in a little bit of a Cold War. Maskers, non-maskers, is it real, isn't it real, COVID's coming to get you kind of pandemonium panic, kind of everyone's a little bit scared and afraid. We're in some very, very unsettling times, just as they were within The Watchmen. And the staged alien event brought in the One World Order, and the event was carried out by an individual named Ozymandias, which is a Greek mythology, if you know that. He was the man that wanted to rule the world, and he is a representation, I guess, of the elites, and he does bring in a new world order. So we got Sean, Devil Speak Killer. It is time to refill the jar. It almost might be a little bit time to... I would show you the pantry if you did want to kind of have a quick look. It's a little bit messy in here. It's starting to go down. I mean, it's still holding tall, guys, but this is the results and the products of weekly and regular trips to your dollar store or your inexpensive grocery. I'm still good for a few months. Hopefully in some not so distant future, I will be leaving Toronto and heading for climates possibly warmer than this, once I do finalize inheritance and stuff like that. But the pantry is still pretty well stocked. I've got enough food to kind of see me for another few months. And without that, I wouldn't have survived these crazy, dizzy days of the COVIDian pandemic era. And something I've pretty much been saying since the sort of start of this, is it a big cover-up? Is it a smoke screen? Is it the divide and conquer problem, reaction, solution psyop that is being carried out, and why we're all paying attention to vaccines from Bill Gates, whether people are going around pointing out and shaming you if you don't wear masks and all this stuff. While we're doing that, we're not really paying attention to the fact that this summer has seen more UFO reports, more comments, more weird and crazy lightning strikes that have been recorded on film. I've put some videos up on my channel about the strange skies and the electromagnetic frequencies and stuff that's been going on. In my out and about videos over the summer, we more often than not caught some particularly strange atmospheric skies, maybe the results of chemtrails, maybe computer generated holograms. I don't know, but I've seen some shit with my own eyes. I've seen the Starlink go overhead with my own eyes, the Tesla stuff. Everything is in place to carry this out, as we were saying, that the technology exists, and if it exists and they have it and they've put it in place, they're surely going to use it. They won't go to the trouble not to use it, right? And as I said, guys, is this all leading up, all the chaos, all the distraction, all the anti-mask, pro-mask sort of arguments that you see that is saturated on social media right now, is this just distracting us from something a lot bigger and crazier? And again, let's put this into perspective. We are also still under emergency guidelines here in Canada. They haven't relinquished the Emergency Act that they put in place when the pandemic was announced, and I don't think they've FEMA are still very much in charge in the United States. I don't think they've handed it back to the United States government. That's why the seal, the presidential seal, is no longer seen when you see these sort of press conferences coming out of the tube. But under emergency orders, you can kind of implement anything, a little bit like Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars. He created the Clone Wars, where he had droids fighting against clones. You could almost say that the droids were maskers and maybe the clones were anti-maskers. They were given a little bit of knowledge and stuff and information to go out and fight each other and eat up lots of resources, while billions of galactic credits were pumped into the war effort that was being controlled by one individual as a big smokescreen and distraction, while he was tinkering away implementing his one galactic empire. And is that what we're seeing now in real life? Is Donald Trump maybe the Emperor Palpatine type figure? Does he have time travel technology and the ability to create and teleport a CGI computer generated holographic fake alien into the middle of New York City and then use electromagnetic frequencies to fry the brains of millions and millions of people? And bearing in mind, we carry the technology and the devices around with us for them to carry that out exactly if they really wanted to. Sean saw 2 ships. Something also of interest, down in Texas this week, there was a nuclear battery seen, a missile battery. They carry several missiles on the back of what looks a little bit like a tank base, and they were seen out in an air base somewhere in Texas, and I think it was close to the Gulf of Mexico. And poor little Nancy down there in Louisiana, sort of every other week, she seems to be getting hit by a hurricane. Are they creating the effects of maybe an incoming asteroid? And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a fake alien invasion. It could be a fake asteroid strike. Same thing, could crash it down. what results would generate possibly unanimous sympathy, or that would usher in an emergency one world government. There might not even be a presidential election. There is also rumors that Trump, was there the book The Last President, that Trump will be the last president. Yeah, I haven't heard much about the World Health Organization or any of this in recent weeks. The bio, and again, when given the script, Share Bear, and given the technology to carry out the script, the world is your oyster, so to speak. What Reagan said, indeed, imagine if we faced a threat from out of this world, if we would put aside all of our differences. And again, when you've got emergency orders, it's not going to take very much to implement, radical amendments to things. And especially if we had a crisis within the time of an emergency act, my goodness, the chaos within the chaos, order from the chaos, and a one world order from the chaotic scenario. So sorry guys, as I said, I didn't really have anything kind of planned or directional for tonight's show. It really was, hey everybody, here I am, I'm alive, this is kind of what I've been doing and up to since you've seen me last, and it is kind of turning into be quite an spectacular show in some ways, although I'm not exactly very focused or directional with what I'm saying, so please forgive me and bear with it, guys. I think it's funny how we don't worry about anything really in our own lives until something comes in the news, and I think that's the problem we're facing. Not that this is it. What people are speaking about is usually the distraction, and it's kind of look what they're not telling you, right? Look at what they're not showing you, and this is probably where you find the root of what is going on. And that's what is very hard to navigate a social media news feed at the minute without being, I want to see cats, I want to see people's lunches again. You don't see that. It's almost like propaganda on both sides, shaming people who don't wear masks, shaming people who do wear masks, COVID that, Fauci that, vaccines do this, Bill Gates that, trust the plan, yada yada. No one's sharing their own innermost thoughts or their everyday goings on, or I'm not saying everybody, there's still a few people, but the majority of it is shared content, and something I've been looking at prior to sort of going a little bit AWOL and off the grid in the last couple of weeks was the mimetic behavior. And mimetics are the sort of study of how societies and cultures exist through the mimicking of behavior seen by one individual that is then copied by the eyes of the beholder, and then passed on and passed on and passed on. And at the minute we're seeing nothing but memes being shared. Memes. Now, many of these memes, again, are products of high powered computer technological databases that have run through several algorithms to put the desired image, content and language into that meme that will attract the attention of a certain mindset. And something I talked about with the Manchurian Karens, that are you subjected to different kind of programming depending on what kind of social media platforms you use. If you happen to watch or spend more time on Twitter than Facebook, are you going to be more inclined to be a Trump supporter? If you spend more time on Facebook, you're going to be a little bit more maybe anti-mask than if you were on Instagram. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just using these examples. I'm not saying that is how it works, but you can target different frequencies. And when we have our own very own personal artificial intelligent interrogator that we carry around with us, and by interrogator I mean kind of handler, and when they use MK Ultra and Monarch programming, they subject an individual to the programming from a handler. And what we have within our hands in our technological smart devices is our own personal handler, except that doesn't necessarily need to torture or interrogate us. We voluntarily give it everything it needs to use as ammunition against us, be that for good or bad purposes. It can target content designed purposely to attract us, and it wants to keep us engaged for as long as we can. And this is again going back to the QAnon thing. Was this an algorithmic creation that was put together by artificial intelligence, designed to keep people occupied, keep them distracted, keep them busy, away from the real goings on? Oregon is going to be on lockdown in the next few weeks, I bet. Yeah, I think everywhere is going to go in lockdown. Toronto is under some kind of lockdown now. I haven't really been paying attention to the mainstream media or really been looking at YouTube or social media that much, to be honest with you, although I do get a little bit of a glimpse. Something that I have been doing an awful lot lately in the last couple of weeks since I haven't been doing YouTube is not even turning my devices on. And if I do turn them on when I'm not using them, I put it in a Mylar bag. I don't know if that's helping or not, but excuse me. I have felt, and particularly when I was putting together some of my videos on electromagnetic frequency, believe it or not, guys, I actually felt like sometimes my head was going to burst, that I got like my heart was beating, as I was going to have a heart attack, or, I was very, very afraid, or, you get that sort of adrenaline kind of heartbeat, if you know what I'm saying. And quite a few times I felt like maybe I'm going to have a heart attack. Like, no shit, I felt as though I'm going to have a heart attack, and I've actually been concerned and worried, do I need to call an ambulance right now? But the less time that I've sort of spent in and around my electronic devices, I've noticed that those symptoms haven't been as bad. Even like toothache, my teeth feel like really, really weird. Well, if it's possible, Killer, I'm pretty much heading to Central America, and probably Belize, because it is English speaking. It is part of the Commonwealth. It has no visa entry. It's also very, very small and a little bit kind of primitive. And you can pick up quite a nice chunk of land down there for about a quarter of what you would be able to purchase a 1-bedroom or studio apartment or condo in downtown Toronto. So I kind of want to go and be somewhere where it's going to be warm all year round, where I don't have to worry about seasonal depression, somewhere I can possibly grow a few sort of fruits and veggies of my own, in somewhere that isn't going to be as saturated with electronic technology everywhere. Like Toronto, there's a fucking electronic antenna or receiver on every single building. It's just everywhere. And sometimes when I go out and about downtown, I feel very, very, like sometimes afraid, like I want to get away from where I am, and want to go home and just be inside. And when I kind of feel like that, that's what I've been doing. That was weird. I just realized about how I was just noticing on this phone, because that's kind of how I keep an eye on your comments there, on the screen. And then let me show you. So I've got a computer there that I was watching on Facebook, and there is so what I do is I cast the screen onto there, you see. So that's a little bit how the sort of studio's looking these days. Come a long way since it was just the little hands behind the screen. Tinfoil works a little bit better. Well, here's the thing, Fatty. If we are being microwaved and microwave energy beams are hitting us, what happens when you put or leave tinfoil on an object that you put in the microwave? Sparks more, right? So were they telling us to wear tinfoil hats because it would accelerate the effects, fry us quicker, maybe more painfully, perhaps? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. And we have the device and the technology in our hands. It could be like, okay, I've targeted or some kind of trigger within the algorithm within my device that it tells the algorithm, what this guy's talking about, electromagnetic frequencies again. up the frequency. Let's bombard him with them. And when I mentioned a little bit earlier about tonight's stream, we did put together a little bit of a presentation this afternoon where I wasn't talking, that did eventually get shut down by YouTube. And I said that once that finishes, I would come on and do a live show and say hello to you all, because I haven't seen you for a while. But I sat in front of the camera for like 2 hours, like just sitting there. No, let's go and smoke one and then come back. Same cycle. Like, I felt afraid to go live, which is something I never really, I say never really did in sort of the early days of going live. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but sort of in recent times, it's something, hey, let's just press and let's go. We usually sort of make something out of nothing. But it was almost like an irrational fear. And again, I started feeling the heartbeat and goodness knows whatever. But anyway, I kind of went away. I had a smoke, made a cup of coffee, and actually took a shower. And I also find that when I'm in the shower, when I've just got out of the shower, I sort of do feel a little bit normal and sort of energized. And I think water is something also that will, and again, within the Trump Tower, they have running water down the walls that will protect you from electromagnetic frequencies. So I sort of jumped out of the shower and I felt a little bit energized. I thought, you know what? Bam, the camera was set up. Let's go live. Let's dive into this. Let's see how we're going. But it's turned out great. We've had a bunch of, again, do apologize if I'm here, there, or everywhere. Don't really seem to be staying on one subject. But, we've got over 20 people watching. And I got to say thank you very much, True Felix, for bringing some of your folks over to join in this. And unfortunately, we couldn't get you on the phone when we were trying. And I also need to piss again really, really bad. Political correctness is another word for self-censorship. Say what you believe and believe what you say. Speaking your heart is never wrong. There's some very good good words there, devils speak. And this is kind of going back to the memetics and the share culture, that when you start sharing things that you've seen from other people, you stop sharing your thoughts and your words and your opinions. And something I was thinking about maybe trying to sort of suggest or try to do, why don't we get together one day and have a day where we don't share anything? We just speak about our innermost thoughts. We share our likes, the things that we actually like, maybe a movie that we're too embarrassed to tell people we enjoy. Or maybe a piece of music. I kind of like some of the Barry Manilow tracks, I'm not going to lie. Lola, what was the one? Copacabana. You hear that? You can't Copacabana. Can't help but tap your feet. Well, I think we're all a little bit batshit crazy, and some more than most in the thrift store, Devil Speaks. But the song by Seal, do you remember that? We're never going to survive unless we get a bit crazy. And that's why I think you've got to think outside of the box, and then think outside of that box, this outside of the box, before you start thinking about what is really, really going on. Toast is fucking great. Do you know what? A piece of toast with some fresh butter, nothing's better than that. Well, there are some things, maybe like a nice fresh line of uncut cocaine off of a hooker's thigh. And this is the other thing. Poor Hunter Biden. Boy, he's out having a good time. So fucking what if he smokes crack and does blow off a fucking hooker's ass? Who hasn't? And if you haven't lived. Well, maybe you have lived. You don't need to necessarily go out and do blow off of a fucking hooker's ass and smoke crack. But he's just doing what millions of people do. And he's not running for president, right? It's his dad. But the world's gone crazy. And to be quite honest, the presidential campaign I've watched about 2 seconds of it. It's like watching fucking Jerry Springer. In fact, you need that Jerry, and Steve-O to come out and maybe drag Donald Trump off. All we need is maybe that, not Condoleezza Rice, she ain't on the scene anymore. What's that fucking Ariel Cortez chick, whatever her name is, you know the one, AOC. Maybe she should start stripping off, because that's what they used to do on the Jerry Springer show. And Jerry Springer, that warped a whole fucking generation of couch potatoes. I remember I used to sit and watch fucking Jerry Springer for hours on end, and mainly because of the strippers. Although sometimes it's like, hey, maybe we'll get a good episode about the Klan, because they always sort of riled, not because I supported the Klan, but just they always made for fun and entertainment. But that is what is become of the presidential campaign. It's an illusion. It's all scripted. It's all dramatically staged and carried out and performed by people who are trained and programmed and have handlers to tell them how to behave. And something I suggested, what if Hunter Biden was playing the part he was paid to play? And they filmed it away. Okay, now do the line, make it look as though you're really enjoying it, but try to make it look as though the camera's not here, Hunter. Brilliant, we've got that in one take. And maybe Hunter's like, yeah, you know what, can we do that one more time? I need to do another line off a girl's ass. Sorry guys, me too honk. I have always been blessed. I share my stuff and I always have what I need. Good stuff there from Devil Speaks. Fatty McBunt-Munch. Oh God, I can't say it. Fatty. It's fucked up. I need a necklace, one of a kind that had an advertisement that's something that looked very similar to what I made just pop up now. Did they get it from? Not sure what that's about. Maybe I missed a comment somewhere. But political correctness is indeed some form of censorship, and I've had to censor some of my stuff in order to get it uploaded onto YouTube, and then YouTube is sort of censored stuff of mine, come after me, deleted stuff, removed stuff, community strikes. You can't always talk about what you want to talk about. And just the other day, in fact just yesterday, I got another Facebook strike. I can't post for 3 days because I said something that goes against their community standards. What if we all started getting our own individual community standards that people have to abide by? Maybe we could create our own community standards that Facebook and Instagram and Google have to abide by. Maybe when we download their apps, we should give them terms and conditions back to them. Like, something has to be done to protect our data, our privacy, and protect the right of freedom of speech, whether or not you agree with it. That's the way the world goes. We can't all be on the same page, and this is where it comes down to these memetics and these kind of copycat behavioral patterns that we're seeing right now. That this is how they are breeding out independent thought. This is how they are creating hive minds, the droids and the clones. One similar mindset, but different opposites. They're both kind of moving in the same direction, and a little bit like a flock of sheep. The pack of wolves needs one another in order to function. Lone wolves are an exception. They're not the norm. There is the lone wolf is an exception, but for the most part, wolves need the rest of the pack. And there's usually only one alpha male within the pack. The rest of the wolves are beaters that follow the one at the front. Same with sheep. They follow whoever's leading them. It's unfortunate because things that I will just not talk about here because I don't want the number to find out any of my defenses. And it's very, very disturbing when you think to the fact that, they have collected most of your innermost personal details, and you do have an artificial weaponized robot in your fucking pocket that can target that against you. And I'm almost thinking to myself over the year, the things this happened to me, like, losing my job, losing not just my job. When I was working in the kitchen, I had access to food every day. I ate for free. So I've lost my income. I've lost my source of nutrition, I guess, although I got food in the pantry. It's not the same as having a fully stocked fucking restaurant kitchen to take my pick from. Fresh vegetables, fresh meat, stuff like that. I was eating fresh produce almost every day. For 8 months I've been living off of ramen noodle canned items and the odd few bucks here and there that I've had coming in that I can afford to go to the grocery store and buy some fresh produce. Is kind of prolonged what I've got in my pantry, but I've been living off of a fucking shitty, almost prison diet, and I'm not complaining. This is why I prep. This is what an inexpensive pantry is all about, but it doesn't exactly make for exhilarating meals or things you look forward to eat. I'm just eating for the sake of eating right now. I don't have That's what you're talking about, Warfist. The Lone Wolves has usually been outed by his pack and usually tries to find another pack to mingle in with. But there are some, as I said, the rare one that the Lone Wolf will just kind of wander in and among packs, as in when he needs, gets what he needs and do his own thing. But as I said, guys, you know, everything's changed for me. And is this by design? Did I give all, you know, did the algorithm know exactly how to fucking target and cripple me and put me into a point where I just don't want to get out of bed and face the world every day? Is that because I give all the information to my robotic handler? You know, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that it was exactly what caused my father's death, but you never know. The algorithm knows that that's my dad. He knows that I care about my dad. And not just me, a lot of other people have also gone through some very, very personal shit hitting the fan situations of their own during the COVIDian era, be it, you know, relationship breaking down, maybe, you know, sort of disabilities or health issues that maybe were manageable prior to COVID have suddenly become unmanageable, and sort of the pain levels of some conditions may be intolerable. Is this because they're turning the frequencies up? Is this because they know exactly how to weaken the minds of the individuals and get them to the point that they're just about giving up, that we will accept almost any relief from this? And, you know, is this why we're going to see a staged event? I'm not saying we are, but if we've seen a tragic mass casualty event on November the 2nd that come from out of this world, surely we would just give up and accept whatever relief in the governments have to offer us, right? You'll never run out of buds. Yeah, I've actually traveled through Oregon some years ago. Oregon was, it's a very, very beautiful, beautiful part of the world, to be quite honest. All those pine trees and lots of mountains and stuff like that. A little bit wet for my liking, unfortunately. I did escape England because of the weather. I really didn't like living in grey and miserable conditions. And England, being an island, it'd be very, very easy to control the weather. And even back in the 40s and 50s, there were some reports of the RAF carrying out some kind of weather modification events, but that is the plan for me, to try and see out the winter or survive the winter the best I can. I'm not looking forward to it. It hasn't even begun to get cold by Canadian standards yet, and I'm already thinking I want to cut my wrists and don't want to necessarily wake up tomorrow rather than see another grey, rainy day. But I do want to get somewhere warm and sunny. I do want to get somewhere a little bit primitive, sort of somewhere that no one really gives a fuck about. And the beauty of Central America is that you've got North and South America either side, large, wide open spaces, lots of places to disappear from. But Oregon, there's another place. I'm not sure if it's Vermont. It's very similar kind of mountainy, sort of alpine-y, pine tree-y to Oregon on the East Coast or in the Midwest area. That is also a place where a lot of sovereign citizens go. That guy, was it Robert or Richard Rudolph? Do you remember the Atlanta bomber, the Olympic bomber? And he also bombed a bunch of abortion clinics. Run Rudolph. There was a song about him, Run from the FBI. But he was like the fucking ultimate prepper. This guy fucking had caches and stockpiles of food in little bug out centers and bug out bags saturated amongst those mountains in the region that I don't know what it's called at the minute. But rain, grey weather, stuff like that, that is a little bit of my kryptonite. It gets under my skin. It's that time of year. On top of that, I'm dealing with the fact that I did recently lost my father. I did lose my job. I did lose my livelihood. I did lose my social daily interactions. You know, what else can I fucking lose this year, to be quite honest with you, you know? And that's why I sort of maybe a little bit reluctant to do YouTube at the minute, because I don't want to lose this. And this is one of the few little good things that I think I ever did sort of actually kind of create on my own. Some of you guys that have been watching along for a while may and may not have even benefited from the endeavours of TSP TV and its sort of evolution and adaptation to what it is now. But anyway, I do have a backup channel. I don't really do much with it. Warfist. I had a couple of backup channels, to be honest, but in recent weeks I've kind of all but given up on doing anything, and it's hard. I don't want to be a little bitch, and I don't want to be a little baby, but sometimes life does get a little bit too much for us. Sorry, I can't all my backup channels on my main phone. I don't have all my details on this phone at the moment, sorry guys, and it has been a little bit of an effort just to deal with life and the simple things in life. I was talking about eating. I'm literally living off of canned produce and ramen noodles these days, and although I need to eat each and every day, I have no desire to do so, and sometimes I just get up and stare at the fucking kitchen for 20 minutes before I give up any hopes or plans of making something to eat, and then sort of a couple of hours later I get a little bit more hungry and go up, same protest. And sort of information that I've sort of thrown out tonight, it's been a little bit, as I said, discombobulated. It's been a bit here, a bit there, and that is because I didn't really plan or think too much about tonight. It was really just, let's let everybody know I'm still here. I am still thinking about you guys. I haven't forgotten about you. I've been getting a few messages that people have been worried about me and stuff like that. So I wanted to say hello. It was a fucking effort and a half. Every time I look at myself, I fucking want to look away. And is this kind of part of my mind control? And I have had some thoughts in recent weeks that I'm like, I would never think that. What the fuck am I thinking that for? Books are very good. I do want to try and sort of read. It does keep the mind a little bit focused and away from outside intruders, should I say. I have been kind of, as I said, watching a few movies, and some of another recent show that is really, really fucking disturbing, and especially about what I'm talking about in what Faddy in possibly Truefix will have a little bit of knowledge of, is a show called Next. And Next is about an artificial intelligence that becomes so powerful it's gone rogue. It's just doing what the fuck it wants. To be honest, Tam, I really don't at all. And it's only been in the last sort of month or 6 weeks, kind of since the sort of news of my dad and the depression, I kind of just started watching movies and stuff. I have a couple of shows I really like Breaking Bad. I kind of like the spin-off Better Call Saul. So these are shows that when they are airing, I will go out of my way to watch, because I do enjoy them, and a little bit of entertainment does go a long way. But I don't have cable TV. I don't ever like switch the TV on and just leave it in the background or anything like that. But in recent weeks, I just haven't felt like going outside. The weather's cold. I've got no job to go. I've got no people to see. Nobody's phoning or texting or asking me if they want to go and do anything. So I've just reduced myself to pass in time the best I can, and the best I've been able to do is kind of just watch TV and movies. But I could pass it off. There is research of some degree. There's always some kind of programmatic information or content hidden away within any fiction or entertainment, and that's kind of a little bit what I was pointing out in the Together in Electric Dreams decoding at 1985. That was there a message to be decoded, and we were sort of, if you give ourselves maybe 6 months into 1984, 6 months into 1986, there was a sort of chronological order of movies. In 84 we saw the Terminator movie come out, and Terminator talked about time travel, people coming back from the future to change to change it by or in the past, right? Taking out Sarah Connor. That's why they sent Arnold Schwarzenegger back, but they sent Reese, who put his Nike Air Force Ones on a pair of combat pants and a sawn-off shotgun that he picked up at Sears, and then rescued Sarah Connor and took the battle to Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it told of an artificial intelligence supercomputer that in the future went rogue, gained sentience, I guess, and determined that humanity was the biggest threat to humanity and they needed to be killed for their own good. 1984 also saw, or the Christmas of 1984, which kind of did overlap more into kind of 1985, but the Christmas and sort of holiday period in 1984, the two big movies, Ghostbusters and Gremlins. Ghostbusters took place on a New York skyscraper at the end of the movie, where they opened a portal to another dimension, and they called upon the demigod Gozer to come forth, and Rick Moranis was the gatekeeper and Sigourney Weaver was the gate holder. I can't remember. Sigourney Weaver looking very, very hot in that red dress up on the top of that skyscraper in New York, a little bit like the Trump Tower perhaps. But they opened a portal to another dimension that saw hundreds and hundreds of ghosts and goblins and demons run amok in lower Manhattan, and eventually the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, choose your executioner. Remember that? Don't think of anything. What you think of will come and destroy you. Sounding ominous, guys. The Keymaster and the Gatekeeper, that's it. Killer Kyle, you remember, see? Gremlins, Feed Them After Midnight. After midnight, that was when the MTV 12-hour movie music videos, and one after the other, kept replaying, and we'd sit there and we'd be bombarded with our electromagnetic frequencies. Maybe they're feeding the couch potatoes after midnight with their thought and mind control. All right, the Gremlins, they launched the Gremlins. Once you put one out and they get wet, they multiply and they multiply and multiply. Maybe the Gremlins were the mind thoughts that are going into our minds and disrupting the way we think, act and behave, right? And the more they spread, the more they affect society. And look what happened when the Gremlins, they smashed the fucking, what was it, it wasn't Hill Valley, Spring Falls, I can't remember. Irrelevant. Anyway, but we saw those two movies. Also, in 1984, Red Dawn, it told or spoke of a unilateral communist invasion on United States soil. Was Crimson Dawn maybe a reference for Crimson Mist, the operation that they carried out in Rwanda that brought on a national genocide? Millions of people were killed as a result of United States governmental agencies and their electromagnetic interference that they bombarded into a crowd of already unstable populous society, where people had no leader, they had no direction, government had kind of collapsed, and while there was a whole lot of civil unrest, they kind of bombarded the Rwandans with their rays and took out a fucking few million of them. But Red Dawn taught about a bunch of teenagers that sort of ran off and hid in the mountains, become preppers and militia, guerrilla warfare, and took the fight back to the communist invaders. The invaders that they were talking about then were communists. Maybe the invaders are actually computer bytes, right? Was it a coded message? Then, of course, Back to the Future, Misfits of Science, My Science Project, Weird Science. All these movies create interdimensional time travel, portals to other realms and dimensions. Misfits, My Science Project, and Back to the Future both feature 1955 as a point of reference that you had to go back to. They also featured cars that had the ability to travel through time, although not so much in My Science Project, but at the end of the movie the car kind of glitzes and sparkles a little bit like the DeLorean did. Time travel was a very, very, very big part of the movies within 1985, and of course at the end of 1985 we were given the wonderful Goonies, a bunch of misfits and oddballs that kind of come together and hung out, saved their local community by finding a treasure map. other stuff that was going on in the 80s, as I mentioned, like the duality, like Transformers. They were robots and they were cars. They were in disguise. Transformers, robots in disguise. We had masked crusaders working overtime, fighting crime. We had the Care Bears. They were kind of rainbowy, unicorny, individualistic, kind of LGBTQ characters, perhaps. The Wuzzles, 2-in-1, living with split personalities, schizophrenia, ADHD, and all these kind of sort of common dysfunctions associated to young kids, didn't really exist in the 1980s. Were these cartoons and products what give kids ADHD? But they were talking about these things, the duality, 2-in-1, everything was 2-in-1, schizophrenia, split personalities. Who's talking? Transformers, we all love the Transformers, robots in disguise. Here is a robot in disguise, right there, guys. Your refrigerator, if it's got smart technology, it's a robot in disguise. Do you remember the big boombox sound wave? Laser beak eject, ravage eject. There it is, right there. Here's our own personal sound wave, guys. It exists. And the electromagnetic brainwave mind control machine, exactly the same as putting a pair of earphones on you guys. But were these movies kind of giving us a series of clues? And I actually believe so. I did watch my science project, The Misfits of Science, and yeah, there is some code. I need to watch them again with notes, and I might even need the fucking pin board and the strings and stuff to piece it all together. But there was a very, very underlying theme at that time with similar kind of content within entertainment, and that is what I'm seeing now, that there is a similar theme within the popular entertainment. And at the moment, many people have been stuck at home, self-isolated. Part of the message was, just stay at home, flatten the curve, do your bit for society, stream, Netflix and chill, get yourself a Hulu account, all this stuff. And people who no longer watch TV, and somebody, I can't remember who said that they don't watch TV, people don't, they stream now. Streaming is your own personal programming. You don't watch in a family anymore. You sit on your device with your headphones in, programming, and it individually knows how to program you specifically, not a fucking large audience. Back in Live Aid, 1985, 1 billion people, televised event, everyone was watching. 12 or was it 17 hours? Something stupid. It ran for nearly the whole day. People tuned into that shit. I didn't miss a minute of it. I even had fucking tapes lined up, blank tapes, to tape all of Live Aid best I could. But that transmitted to 1 billion people worldwide, where they transmitting electromagnetic mind control frequencies into the mind to make people, I must give money to the Ethiopians, I must give money. Half that fucking money didn't go to the Ethiopians. In fact, maybe fucking 3% of what Live Aid on a total collected went to the people that they actually said. Fucking Phil Collins flying Concorde from Philadelphia to London so he could play on both sides. That don't come cheap. And it was only Phil Collins